What do you mean, damn me? What did I do? Did you finish? Diana? Did you and Surplus finish? No? What? Unfortunate. How come? It seems like Twitch did add the option to go backwards, I think. I'm not too sure. I think so. Could be wrong, though. We're going to know. He went live as soon as we were about to start. I see. I see. My bad, then. That's fair. You know what? That makes sense why you said Dan me, then. I think that's completely... That makes a lot of sense. Did you at least sleep well last night? Not I clicked enter on a message saying go versus start. We got notified you were live. Like you were saying go as in start reading. Thought you were streaming much later. I mean, I have work today and yeah, I have work today, so it was impossible. I mean, as I said, that's what we did last night. I see. I mean, you know, if you guys, you can always check back at the VOD later. You know, if you guys want to finish it up, there, that's always no issue. You know, that's also always an option. Okay. Let's load this.
Lena.
Okay, my bad. You know, I was just giving you guys the option, alright? Because, I'm sure you guys want to finish Higurashi. As if we've missed the live of Higa. Makes sense, then? Okay, that's fair. Oh, wait, let me actually put my phone to charge. It's on 91%. I should... Oh, okay. Well, I hope you guys had a restful sleep either way. And we are back into this. So okay. That phone call yesterday, when did that happen? Yo, Bogan. 'Cause I swear, was it like after he closed the window in the night and then it just never showed us? When did that phone call happen? Hi, Bogan. How was your day? And she's also towering over him with an axe right now. Rena stood imposingly, not answering.
Satoshi は消えた。だけどレナは消えなかった。じゃあ俺はどうなるんだよ。
I had never heard such an unpleasant laugh before. If you finish Higurashi and stream more past it, some other game, we might leave to go. But I bet you can fill a whole stream with the rest of Higurashi. Yeah, that's why I streamed a bit earlier today, because Diana said, I messaged Diana yesterday and she said I could finish it, so I tried to allocate enough time to finish it today. How greedy is this company? Classic Twitch, classic Twitch. It had become akin to the sound of her breathing. It was no longer a voice or an expression of feeling. Rena took one step forward, still holding the hatchet high above her head. One step closer. Rena's face spread out to fill my vision. Hello, Ruben. One step closer. Rena's nose was close enough. Wait. I thought... Wait, was close enough to touch mine? So I was imagining that he was on the floor and she was towering above him holding the axe. Where are they right now? Because I thought he was still on the floor at this point in time. Did he stand up? And if he stood up, why is he not running away? How's your day, Ruben? You're both standing, I believe. Okay.
話したいことがあるんだよね。レナが聞いてあげる。助けてあげるから。ね。話してね。
Yep, I'm doing good. Had a okay day at work yesterday, so back to
話してね。
hoping to finish Higurashi today. Hopefully. You're free, let's go! No more ads for now. I slumped down, landing squarely on my butt. Okay, so he fell down again. Wasn't for some pathetic reason. Was all I could do to get as far away from Rena. I had the gut feeling that I couldn't let her laughter end. Because when that laughing ended, the moment I picked up on that feeling, my body moved by instinct. I sprang to my feet so fast, even I couldn't believe it, and pushed Rena away with both hands. Rena was as light as a feather. Thrown about by the unbalanced weight of the hatchet, she was sent backwards as if she had been carried off by the wind. After confirming that out of the corner of my eye, I dashed at full speed. Yeah, so I'm hoping to finish this today. I think it's possible, yeah, to finish it today, I believe. So that's what I'm hoping. I was at the perfect picture of fleeing like a greased pig. Is that a saying? I've never heard that before. Get away from Rena. Run away. Survive. I couldn't think of anything other than this. While I was running, I remembered I'd been holding on to a bat the entire time. Such a worthless weapon. I couldn't believe I'd forgotten about this weapon at such an important time. I sped even farther down the winding path. I didn't even feel myself gasping for breath or my legs getting heavy. My body understood it as well. If I didn't run away from here, I wouldn't live. I could hear the laughter of that simulacrum of Rena coming from behind me. This reminds me of, I feel like I heard a story before of people getting caught by, like, you know, cannibal tribes. And then it was a game that they played that, like, the guy would, like, have to run. Like, or, like, they would have to chase down their prey. And that was the entire game. And then I remember it was something, like, you know, it's like, even though he really wants to stop, it's like his body knows that he can't. So I think it's the same type of thing here. It rang through the trees and in my head, and slowly chiseled away at my sanity. Oh, we're back at the dam. The grove of trees thinned out, my field of vision suddenly expanding. Where was this? For a moment, I was bewildered by the scenery. I felt like I knew, but I couldn't quite remember. I quickly realized it was the dam site. The fact that I dashed madly and ended up in a place like this gave me a bad feeling, like I was following someone's scripted plot. I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul here. This was a terrible spot for someone on the run, but there was no better place for an attacker. My heart was already on the verge of bursting. The muscles in my legs were screaming, but I didn't care. If I stopped here, then they might not even be able to scream for much longer. Even still, I glanced back, looking for an excuse to rest. Rena wasn't there. Instead, I saw two villagers walking around. I breathed a sigh of relief that it wasn't Rena, but a third party. Except the voice inside me rang the alarm once again. Villagers walking around weren't suspicious in and of themselves, but it bothered me. What's the possibility? I think I probably will continue after game 1, but not immediately. Like, every so often, I think I'll come back and do the other games, but I don't want to do it, like, all in a row. Because I think I even though I am interested in it, I think it's too much to just be doing all in a row. So I'll probably, play this and then take a bit of a break, and then, like, maybe play some other games, like, and then come back and then do some stuff. Yeah, so that's probably what I'll be doing. Yeah. But I think, I'm definitely intrigued after chapter 1 to see where this leads. I cannot lie. So, honestly, I think it's necessary to have breaks between chapters. Makes sense? Makes sense. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Daine and Surplus, you guys took breaks between chapters, right? Like, until you guys got to the ending chapters. Yeah, I still have to finish Terraria, but I did say I'm gonna do Omori. Like, I am fine with taking a break because I needed a break from Terraria as a whole. So, I needed to play Terraria, and then I got to the point where it's like, okay, I need to take a break because that game was killing me. Like, I was getting so frustrated with that game, so I needed to take a break. So I said I'm gonna do Omori, so I need to do that. And then after Omori, I think that'll be the end of October once I finish Omori. And then I can go back to Terraria. But Terraria shouldn't be very long, so we'll see. Because I only need to beat the final boss, but I also need to do some stuff beforehand, so I don't know what I have to do. Because a lot of stuff is like boring stuff where I need to farm, so I don't know. But keep notes of the questions and mysteries you take note of. Okay. I'll probably need to review, like, exactly everything that happened beforehand. New Risk of... I saw the new Risk of Rain DLC coming out, yes. Definitely excited for it. It's, like, all about drones and all that, which is cool. They both wore rough-looking clothes. Empty-handed, they definitely gave the impression that they were just out for a walk. But, at this time of day, two adults wandering around without a purpose. It was enough to raise questions. But more than anything else, those eyes. They weren't chit-chatting while walking. They were both silent, heading forward, looking in my direction. Was I at the end of my rope, and I had finally started imagining things? I should run away. That was probably the best choice. If they weren't involved, I'd lose them easily by running. Yeah, so it seems like there's, like, Oyashiro-sama is able to, like, possess everyone in this village. And because he's not from this village, this is probably the only person that Oyashiro-sama is not able to possess, is what I'm thinking. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people, you know, like, I've seen the character, right, Omori, everywhere, so, you know, I'm interested in it. If they were part of the group after me, they would come running after me. Either way, unless I hurried up, Rena would catch me. That's right, I was going to run. Deciding that, the moment I began to turn tail, both of them rushed towards me, as if they knew exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere inside me, I had jumped to the conclusion that Rena was the only thing I needed to be afraid of. I made the assumption that I didn't need to fear anything else. But right now, I realized just how blatantly wrong I was. Suddenly, the story Uishi-san told me about all demons leaving the village to hunt prey floated through the back of my mind. I could tell they were both coming after me without even turning around because of their frenetic footsteps. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. It was frightening being unable to shake Rena off as she slowly closed in on me, but this didn't even compare. Being pursued with such violent ferocity, this straightforward horror was unparalleled. I know you said your sister loves Omori more than Deltarune, right? I think you said? One of the pursuer's arms grazed my soul. Oh, they're that close! Now, it wasn't just their frenzied footsteps, but also the distant sound of their breathing that I could hear. No, I could practically feel them breathing on me. They were already right behind me. Well, I would think you would assume that, considering if you feel their arm against you. My little sister's whole personality is Omori now. Okay, that's cool then. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Still running at full tilt, I felt the surrounding area go still. No, it felt like time itself had stopped. I turned my head back slightly in that frozen world, realizing how close my pursuers had gotten to me. I couldn't win against the legs of an adult. In less than the time it would take to blink twice, when this frozen time began moving again, they'd be right on top of me. On top of me, and then? Don't think about that, Keiichi. First, realize that you won't be able to shake them off like this. If the fact that you can't get away was a given, then you need to make a decision. Go with the right leg or go with the left. You just need to decide which one. Let's go with the left. The moment I decided, the temporal singularity burst into pieces. Right. Left. I swung the bat in a wide arc with my right arm, using that inertia. I stopped and suddenly spun. No! The two of them were clearly startled. momentarily losing sight of me, both of their outstretched arms ready to grab me, instead grasped at empty space. The man on the right, I applaud him being able to figure it out, spun around to the spot I shouldn't have been and faced me in astonishment. But it was too late. I didn't even need to swing my bat. All I needed to do was extend my arms as I turned around. It was by no means a heavy blow, but it seemed like it had enough power behind it to knock him off his feet. But just knocking him down wasn't enough to scare him away. He got back up in no time. Both of them took a fighting stance and were ready to face me. This made me certain they weren't just two people out for a walk. They were clearly after me. My first experience with Amori was watching someone stream it anyways, and I still appreciate it a lot, so watching Delphintune play, whilst being worse than just playing it, wouldn't be just terrible. Thank you, Surplus. I'm glad for that compliment. That's because that's how I'm gonna take it. It felt much easier than dealing with Rena. Just by not recognizing their faces, by not knowing them, it made things easier. I just smiled wryly on the inside. It's fine if it was just a bluff. By barking out at them, I was able to fire myself up. The scrambling's about any nice thing I can say about him. Yeah, and what's the issue? They didn't respond. They spread out to either side of me with unbelievably calm expressions on their faces. One of them would grab onto my bat and the other would hold me down. Was that their plan? Taking on both of them at once would be impossible. Hot sweat poured from every pore in my body. Then I'd just have to settle it with the first move. I'd step in and strike the first one down. Narrowing my target to the man on the right who had already been knocked down before, I stepped in and swung with all my might. There was no way for an unarmed person to guard against it. It would cause immense damage. If they blocked it with their arm, their bone would snap like a twig. If they turned their back to it, then it was possible that the blow would travel all the way to their vital organs. Okay, Keiichi, I think you're overestimating yourself a bit too much. You're a guy who doesn't exercise, right? I think you're really counting on too much here. And you're already extremely tired. It looked like he was aware of this. He pushed farther through the kill zone between us and delivered a fist right into my gut. Not good. With this distance, in this position, and in this state, there was no way for me to dodge it. The world flipped upside down. I understood that I was being tossed around like a rag doll. I landed on the soft earth without a sound, feeling the grainy soil press against my face. It didn't hurt at all. But the moment I thought that, I suddenly felt pain coming from the abrasions on my skin, as well as the contents of my stomach being forced upwards, flooding my mouth with a bitter sensation. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, always when you get hit, it's always like, you don't, or like, hit really badly in places you don't get hit, like in the stomach or, you know, in the groin area or anything like that. Like any sensitive part. It always, like, immediately you don't feel pain. And then it's like, immediately... It feels really bad. I knew very well that I didn't have time to relish this experience. I stood up as quickly as I could, but at that moment the other man was already barreling towards me. Being able to comprehend calmly that I simply couldn't dodge it made all the more upsetting. After plowing into my stomach full force once again, my assailant twisted around behind me and locked his thick arm around my neck. My throat felt like it was being crushed by his immense strength. I couldn't even contemplate that I was being strangled, or that I was about to go unconscious. My vision simply darkened, and a silent whining noise began playing deep inside my mind. It took everything I had to keep myself from blacking out. While this was happening, the other man was more than likely standing in front of me. I wasn't able to open my eyes, but I could feel that he was there. There was nothing I could do now. Unable to shake this arm off me, I couldn't run. I couldn't fight back. Dire straits. I couldn't even come up with the phrase that adequately described my situation. Okay, so he's caught. So now what? I'm interested to see where this goes. He's awake. Inside where? A familiar ceiling. The smell of the bed and pillows. I knew them well. This is a bit sus. I don't know. Too happy. He's gonna look down. He's gonna be like restrained or something. Was this my room? Normally there wouldn't be anyone in my room besides me, but their presence made me spring wide awake. When I did that, pain shot through my entire body.
大丈夫かな？横になってた方がいいと思うよ。
Why was Rena in my room? Blood began to surge through my muscles and my capillaries. But Rena's smile belonged to the Rena I knew well. I knew I shouldn't let myself feel this way, but I relaxed thinking that this version of Rena was safe. Is he like being killed at this current point in time?
俺はどうして
覚えてないの？
意識がなくなってからのことは全然。
My body had become more lethargic than I could have ever imagined. I guess that would be the expected outcome after exerting everything I had back there. I tried to at least clear my head, but I just couldn't shake the sluggish feeling out of my mind.
一応お医者さんにも電話したから、もうすぐ来ると思うよ。それまで横になってた方がいいと思うな。
I wasn't injured seriously enough to merit calling a doctor, but knowing that someone impartial was coming was slightly reassuring. I don't know. Doctor? Like, what? Is there, like, is it an actual doctor?
確かダム現場で。
それはレナが聞きたいな。何があったのかな。レナが行った時にはケイチ君倒れてて。
だから聞きたいのは俺の方だよ。変な二人組に襲われて。
As I talked about it, I finally remembered what happened right before I passed out. Recalling that memory and the terror that went along with it caused the fogginess in my head to clear right up. Let's forget about those two for now. I didn't expect Rena to be nursing me. I thought Rena was trying to kill me. She would have had the perfect chance while I was unconscious. Not only did she not kill me, she had nursed me back to health.
よく俺を引きずってここまで来れたな。重かったろ。
Looking at Rena's delicate frame, it was hard to believe that she had not only got me back home, but even dragged me all the way up to the second floor. Does she have some help?
ケイチ君、覚えてないの？
Rena appeared a bit surprised, but still kept her
レ
smile.
ナはケイチ君に肩を貸しただけだよ。大丈夫、自分で歩けるってケイチ君が。覚えてない？
I didn't remember. My memory was fuzzy after the point where I lost consciousness.
二人組はどうした？レナが来た時、俺と一緒に、あるいはそばに二人組の男が。
いなかったよ。
She said it bluntly. The way she stated it felt slightly unpleasant. I was just too timid at that time. Might have been able to force some answers out of Rena. But if I did that, then this kind Rena might transform into the scary Rena who I didn't know. Fearing that, I didn't press any further. Thinking about it, it was the obvious choice. If both those men were there, I don't think Rena would have even stood a chance. But they all were in it together. Like, Keiichi, can you not... I feel like they were all in it together. Rena was still smiling. Her eyes sparkled warmly. Yet, I felt like I was hallucinating when I saw something. Something akin to a shadow slowly creeping across her face. That small omen sent shivers down my spine. While Rena was still Rena, I needed to make contact. I needed to contact Uishi-san. Rena stopped me when I tried to get out of bed. She said it would aggravate my wounds, so I should sleep.
トイレに行きたいんだけどな。
ごめん。
Rena couldn't say anything else. While Rena stayed in the room, I quickly went downstairs to get the phone receiver in the living room. While I approached the front door, the doorbell rang. Ding dong. It must have been the doctor Rena had called. It was strange for a patient to welcome in the doctor who was making a house call, but it would be incredibly reassuring to have him here for the considerable time it would take Uishi-san to get here. I carelessly opened the door with that simple assumption and regretted it almost immediately.
ミオン。
あれ？元気そうだね。倒れてたって言うから様子見に来たんだけど。
なんで俺が倒れてたって知ってるんだよ。
レナが電話してきたから。 他に理由が必要。
I understood why she would call a doctor, but why Mion too? Rena was descending the stairs behind me.
レナ、ケイちゃん大丈夫そうだよ。たく、心配して損した。
そうだね。レナも心配して損したかな。
They both began laughing. It appeared to be cheerful laughter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darkness looming over them.
うわ、なにこの下駄箱。どうしてたの？
And that's broken down. The shoe rack that I'd smashed to pieces had been like that since yesterday.
転んでさ、その拍子に持ってたバットで叩いちゃったんだよ。
持ち慣れないもん振り回してるからこういうことになるんだよ。
I love this face, this smug face of hers. He said he picked up some of the pieces, but I think it's still broken down. I kept the fact that it was none of her business to myself.
でもこれじゃ、おばさまたちが帰ってきたらびっくりしちゃうね。後でレナが片付けておくね。
さあ、ほらケイちゃん。重病人なんだからちゃんと寝てないとダメだよ。さあさあ、お布団に戻った。
Both of them urged me up the stairs. I had no chance to call Uishi-san. I was pushed into my bed. As it was the first time Mion had been in my room, she began searching around it intently. She fiddled around my room and was scolded by Rena. You can imagine how it went. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was so benign that it was heartwarming. I wonder if they know what's in the clock. Did Rena already remove what's in the clock? Or some... Also, how did they enter the house? It should have been locked. I didn't even realize that. How did they enter the house? During that innocent conversation, Mion said something as though it was perfectly
レ
ordinary.
ナ、監督には電話した？
うん。みーちゃんに電話した後すぐにね。すぐ来るって言ってたよ。
Director? That out-of-place word gave me a bad feeling. Rena called a doctor, then called Mion, and after that she called a... director. Who is this director? Since Rena and Mion's conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd.
二人とも何の話をしてるんだよ。監督ってなんだよ。
ケイちゃんしんどいの？監督って言ったら監督だよ。
Okay.
映画の監督とか、工事現場の監督とか。
And that was the evil laugh again. The foreman of a construction site. I dug through all my memories for a director who might have business with me. Only one thing came to mind. What Rena had just said. The construction site foreman. The very first victim of the first incident. The dismemberment at the damn construction site. The foreman? Okay. I don't know if there's something about this that I'm missing, but why is this... blue over here? This is kind of getting me mad. What is this? Why is this here? That was strange. He was supposed to be dead. There was no way they could call him.
お前らが何の話をしてるのかわからないよ。
Oh, it's because the text doesn't go all the way. So this is her shirt here. And this is Mion's yellow over here. Oh my gosh.
その監督が俺と何か関係あるのか？来るって言ったけど、うちに来るのか？
I asked one obvious question after another, but all the two of them did was smile coolly at each other. There was a huge difference between how the two of them appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly, I felt discomfort and panic welling up inside me. I couldn't understand what Rena and Mion were talking
ケイ
about.
ちゃん、最近は野球に凝ってるんだよね。監督。それ聞いたら喜ぶと思うな。
だから監督って誰だよ。
監督は監督さんだよ。
だから監督って誰だよ。
Rena and Mion looked at each other and laughed haughtily. That disturbing cackle unpleasantly resounded around me. So, it doesn't seem like they wish to kill him, right? Because they called a doctor. Unless, like, they need to perform some ritual or something, and he needs to be in, like, good shape. But, I don't know, there's still something a bit strange, because they do care for him, I'm pretty sure. Like, it does seem like they all care for him. So that's what, I just don't understand what exactly is happening. That laugh, long enough to be unsettling, ended abruptly.
そうだ。監督が来る前に済ませとくかな。ケイちゃん、覚えてるかい？
Her face was laughing, but Miona's eyes told a different
覚
story.
えてるって何をだよ。
ケイチくん忘れちゃったのかな。罰ゲームなんだよ。罰ゲームなんだよ。忘れちゃったのかな。おはぎの宿題。どれがレナの作ったおはぎかを当てる宿題。あれ、確か宿題忘れだったよね。
I certainly did have that homework, but I had thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found out that sewing needle, so I wasn't able to answer which one that Rena had made. The penalty for that? Why now? No doubt my question was written all over my face. Their answer to my question was that dry laughter. I could... That's actually a perfect emote diner for that. I could no longer make heads or tails of anything. I began to think that this entire day was somehow insane. Strange. Incomprehensible. Being chased by Rena. Attacked by strange men. The penalty Mion and Rena were talking about. What were those two laughing at? It didn't take that long for me to realize that I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. You tell me you now realize that, Keiichi? Who were these two? Who are these people? Who are these doppelgangers of Rena and Mion? Rena had gotten behind me at some point. Why was she pinning my arms behind my back?
何の真似だよ。
動かないでね。罰ゲームだから。
My body was already very sluggish, and Rena pinning my arms made it that much harder to move. I seriously tried to struggle, but she wouldn't even budge. My panic began to well up, and I realized this was well beyond the realm of jokes and pleasantries. This freakishly monstrous strength, it would have been impossible for the Rena I knew. Then these thin, frail arms grasping me firmly. Whose arms were they?
ケイちゃん、抵抗しちゃダメだよ。快速台。何錠でもいいや。罰ゲームに抵抗しちゃダメなんだからさ。
Club rule number, it doesn't matter which one. This is like an important line as well. This more goes in line with Oyashiro-sama is taking possession of them. Mion, no, that thing that looked like Mion spoke to me like how Mion would speak to me. But I was certain that this was not Mion. Someone who wasn't Mion. Someone who was just pretending to be Mion.
監督が来る前に済まさないとね。
Mion fished into her pockets and pulled out something bizarre. I could tell what it was just by looking, but for such a thing to be in her pocket, my mind wouldn't accept it. She pulled out like an axe?
なんだよ。それ。
It was... Oh, it was the sewing needle. No, syringe? It was a small, clear syringe, the kind a doctor might use if you went to them with a high fever. Rena held me even tighter, and I could hear that clattering laughter, that no longer sounded like laughter blaring into my ear. That eerie laughter. It wasn't something that Rena I knew could ever produce from her own throat. This thing that was pretending to be Rena, was this their real laugh? Unable to defend myself, the syringe that Mion was holding drew closer, and that needle tip waved in front of my face countless
大
times.
丈夫大丈夫。痛くないから痛くないから。
何をする気だよ。これは一体何の真似だよ。
ケイちゃん、 何言ってんだか分かってんでしょ。
何が俺には何が何やらさっぱりわからねえよ。
知ってるくせに。今さらかまととぶられてもな。
わけのわからないことを言って俺を煙に巻くのはやめろ。
A syringe?
富武さんと同じ目に遭ってもらう。
Oh. The same as Tomitake-san? I didn't really understand what she meant. What did that have to do with this syringe?
ケイチくん、とぼけてるね。うすうすは気づいてたくせに。
Rena whispered into my ear, laughing as if to admonish me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare. Playing dumb? Me? About what? What do you mean, the same as Tomitake-san?
みんな初めはひき逃げされたものだと思っていました。ですが、意識を確かめるために近づいた警官はすぐに異常に気づきました。喉がね、引き裂かれていたんですよ。
ナイフとか？
いえ、爪でした。
Nails? Nails as in fingernails? With those gouged through? That's right. Tomitake-san had clawed out his own throat with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that. So then, for that to happen...
薬物を疑いましたが、そういう類のものは検出できませんでした。
That's right. The police didn't find any drugs in Tomitake-san's system.
警察は富武さんの遺体から薬物は検出できなかったって言ったぞ。
What sound is this even trying to make? Gue, 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 gue. The two of them laughed together with that sickening laughter. Of course they'd laugh. To assume that such a medicine didn't exist just because the police didn't know about it was completely foolish. Meaning, the drug that caused Tomitake-san to die in such a bizarre manner did exist. If Mion injected this into me, then that would probably be all the proof I needed. That would basically mean I'd end up the same as Tomitake-san. Become hysterical, scratching at my throat in my last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist, for Mion to be holding it, and that I was about to be injected with it. At that moment, I did not feel there was any need whatsoever to question it. What kind of idiot, when he's trying to dodge a ball flying straight for his face, has time to think of a reason as to why it's flying at him?
観念しなって。んじゃ。
Mion's actions lacked any gravitas, and that made it even more terrifying. There was none of the ceremony like when someone is sentenced to death. There was no hesitation at all, as if she were brushing her teeth. Mion reached down with one hand and grabbed onto my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head, and the entire world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast? Or did someone hit me really hard in the back of the head? Having lost my sense of balance, I was assaulted by a wave of dizziness. Okay. I squatted down for a bit. When I came back to my senses, my entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly, I could tell blood was flowing to my extremities again. How long had I been squatting here? 20 minutes? Or has it been hours? It was almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time. My eyes were closed. That's how little time had passed. Really? The air in the room wasn't filled with that madness from before. Only a dull silence. Rena wasn't there pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there about to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be? All of it was a hallucination? There was no other presence in the room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I'd ever had. I was certainly with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some sort of comfort. I guess that terrible ordeal was a hallucination. Neither Rena nor Mion They would never do something so terrible. My head grew hot. I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? That wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? I don't understand. I don't understand. Kind to everyone, not discriminating against age or gender. Mion. That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. Blood stained her a deep red from her head. Wait. From her head down to her chest. The bright crimson smeared on the walls. That splatter had undoubtedly come from Mion. She always had that bright smile and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Rena. That same Rena was slumped at my feet and was making the same pool of blood as Mion. I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Did someone come to save me? Then they beat these two down with this metal bat? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in a deep red. There was no doubt that this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in the house. Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it. That's right. Keiichi Maebara. Of course, I did it. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself, "Hey, me. There's no reason for you to remember it. Nor is there any need to regret it. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you?" Neither Rena nor Mion had moved an inch. It wasn't just a split forehead and a trickle of blood, nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red. And that told me it didn't end with just 2 or 3 strikes. The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface I was panicking and agitated. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. What happened to your usual calm self? Come on now. Do like you always do. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on. Once, twice, breathe deeply. Excuse me. Calm down. Calm down. I chanted that over and over in my head and relaxed. Color came back to my vision and smells reinfused the air. At the same time, I remembered what happened when I blacked out. Rena and Mion had attacked me. They were about to inject me with whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomitake-san. Right before that happened, I fought back. I twisted my whole body and threw Rena as she was pinning my arms. Then I followed through with my spin and rammed my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. It was so soft. Rena tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satoshi's bat that was left carelessly by the side of my desk. Weep. At that moment, everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape of my mind. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't that there was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. Just the other me inside myself had told me not to look and had turned off the TV. Just because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it, didn't mean that the videotape within me hadn't recorded it. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. The tape within me, creaking alone, still playing. On the other end of that pitch black screen, that horrifying video was still playing on. Compared to this, though, the scene right before my eyes, was still so difficult to take in. There was blood splattered everywhere on the walls, the two of them in these unnatural poses. Not a single sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I'd attacked them. May have even killed them. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. Balancing that out on an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I even feel bad about it. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was justifiable self-defense. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it is something that happens in real life. The proof was all here. The two of them collapsed here, and Mion's syringe filled with some unknown drug would certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Tomitake-san. And from the fact that both of these two were involved, they'd be able to pick out the criminals one after the other. Still, I might be suspected for this, but that was just fine. Anyway, now that this should be a police affair, this wouldn't fade into the darkness like Rena's past incidents. As long as the police were involved, that should bring this to a close. But the director is going to come in, no? They'll just probably revisit their investigation on the chain of events. Uishi-san would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning my wish of not wanting to die, of wanting to know the truth, that would be fulfilled in its most basic form. It was all a matter of time now. The Dr. Rennet call should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I needed to contact Uishi-san. At that moment I remembered. Besides the doctor, a director had been called. It was easy to imagine that there was someone deeply involved within the incidents, judging from Rena and Mion's conversation. The ache in my chest caused by the gruesome deed I'd done dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Okay, but you can still call Uishi-san. I feel. Like, you don't need to explain anything, just like beg him, like just yell at him, like please get here now. You know? And he would understand, like, hey, something's happening. It's not over yet. I needed to live long enough to tell the police of this incident. At that moment, I felt like I'd heard someone's voice from outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean that there were more than one person. I moved the curtain ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gate. They very much resembled the 2 men who had assaulted me at the damn site today. Those 2 might even be among them. There was one person there wearing a white coat, but he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. That guy would probably ring the bell and get me to open the front door. Pretend to be a doctor to get me to open the door, and then the rest of them would all rush in at once. At that moment, I saw the car parked behind the men, and my heart nearly skipped a beat. The white van. Oh, that was the van that tried to run him over. No mistaking it. The van, the one that had tried to run me down? The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed towards the front door. The rest of the men hid behind the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend that I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they'd break the window and enter. I needed to get out of here somehow. Then use a public phone to contact Uishi-san. Then meet up somewhere. First of all, I need a weapon. Then shoes. But before all of that, there was one thing I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live and reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse of Oyashiro-sama. But what would happen from here on? Regardless of how determined I was, it may bring about my demise. And that was why. There's one more important thing than getting out of here right now. I need to get that clock out quickly and take down the note hidden behind it. Damn it. The tape was sticking to it fast. Wait. Why do you need to remove the note? It'd be fine if it was like... Unless he's assuming that they would know that's in there. It's not like they would go and take down the clock, I'd feel. It'd be fine if it was torn a little. I opened up the slightly torn note and began writing another passage with a ballpoint pen. If I wasn't able to inform Uishi... Dude, in this time that you're writing this note, I swear you could be calling Uishi-san. You have the phone in your room right there. You don't need to go downstairs. I see the phone in your room. I never thought a piece of torn, college-ruled notebook paper could be this reliable before. I had no time. I'd only write what I knew right now. Or even still, you could go downstairs, pick up the phone, because apparently you can bring it back into your room even though it has a cord, right? So, pick it up, bring it into your room, and call him there. Or call him and then just bring... I don't understand. I feel like this is the most important thing, to call him. I'd write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of information that would lead them to uncover the truth. Rena and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. He actually has a phone. Okay, well, that's even better then. This was an undeniable fact. I still didn't want to believe it. Because I remember Diana was saying that, like, oh, this is the new art, so it technically doesn't, you know, it's not the original art. So I was just assuming, like, okay, even if it's the original art, right, you can go downstairs and get the phone. Like, instead of writing this note where they may find it or they may not. But if you literally just call him, like, you don't even need to say anything. I swear if you just called him and then hung up immediately, that would still, like, mean something. It's the same thing with 911. If you call them and hang it up immediately, they know something's wrong. But, like, if you have time to write the note, you have time to contact Uishi. But it was a fact. Anyway, I leave all the information that would lead them to finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This was everything that I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was that unidentified person known as the director. To begin with, the term director didn't even mesh with Hinamizawa at all. If they were going to include the directors from past incidents, then the only one is the construction foreman, the victim from the first murder. The very first victim in the chain of incidents. Killed in a lynching, his body divided into 6 pieces. His right arm... Wait a second. Now, this may not mean any sense. I may be completely stupid here, but divided into 6 pieces, and there are 5 men plus the director. That seems like 6 pieces to me. Question mark? His right arm was never discovered. The police should have confirmed that death. Rena and Mion did both call him director. They said, director. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who was dead. The police would never even conceive that someone who was deceased could be involved. Could that be some sort of oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Uishi-san. That's right. They needed to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of this string of mysterious deaths that would follow. So then, there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim from the dismemberment incident. He's alive. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you would think as much. But was that really the case? Could it have been some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? I shouldn't jump to conclusions, but he may still be alive. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh yeah, there's something even more important I needed to write. Tomitake-san's death was from an unknown drug. That's right. That drug. It was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. No doubt, just by having this, everything would be uncovered. I couldn't just leave that vital clue lying on the floor. The syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe onto the back of the clock with plenty of tape, so it absolutely would not slip down and fall to the floor. Firmly. Firmly. I'm surprised it took that long. You know, in that time, you could have called Uishi-san. The bell rang. They were here. I couldn't write anymore. But even still, there was one last thing I had to write. I have no idea why it has become like this. This may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. If you are reading this, then I am probably already dead. Though you may or may not find my body. If I was going to write out everything that could happen, either dying from the curse or being demoned away, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. But still, like, it was only 5 seconds long. I think it's more, because he had to stuck the syringe down with a lot of tape. He had to go, run over the syringe, and then stick it down with, like, a lot of tape. Have you ever used those tape dispensers? They definitely take more than 5 seconds to operate, I can tell you that. Like, what? But still, I feel like 1 minute is enough for him to call Uishi-san, you know? Like, I feel like in 1 minute, it is more important for him to call Uishi-san. No, I understand it's still shorter than I think, but the point that I'm trying to make is that it's faster to call Uishi-san over writing this note. That's the point I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter how much time it is shorter to call Uishi-san than to write this note, is the point I'm trying to make. Like, in the time he could have done this, he literally could have picked up the phone, called him, and said, I need you over here now, and then just put down the phone. Like, that's all he had to do. And even if he gets here late, even if Uishi-san it takes 30 minutes to arrive, they cannot break into the house, kill him, and clean up the body in time for him to arrive. Now, the issue, if he's the only one that arrives and, is alone, they have a chance that they turn on him and they're able to kill him instead. In that case, well, we're back at square one, but you'll cross that bridge when we get there. Well, yeah, no, that's the entire point. It doesn't matter if it takes 30 minutes for him to get there. They can't break into the house, clean up all the bodies, clean up all their DNA, and disappear, and, in the time it takes for Uishi-san to arrive. That does not take 30 minutes. With this, my last will and testament was complete. It wasn't certain that I was going to die. Yeah, contact needs to be made at least, exactly. But it was my final plea. Yeah, they might not even care to clean up the bodies, exactly. In which case, even better. I folded the note, stuck it onto the back of the clock, and returned the clock back to its usual spot. I couldn't help but pray. Uishi-san, if something happens to me, I leave the rest to you. If they don't care to clean... Yeah, but there's evidence there. They'll kill Keiichi and dip. They'll leave DNA. Uishi-san will see something has happened. They'll probably... he'll probably assume that the person who killed Keiichi... something has happened. Because the entire idea is that Uishi doesn't know that anything has happened right now. That's the entire thing. He doesn't know that anything is happening right now. Right? How is he gonna know to look for the note? How is he gonna know anything has happened? What if the parents come back during all this? They're gonna kill his parents as well. And then Hiramizawa will have ample time to clean everything up. Uishi-san will just assume that Keiichi will never have contacted him again. But still, yeah, I understand. That's true. 1983 DNA tested for crime. But I think this guy is playing it completely wrong. Number one thing to do is contact. We could figure out all the rest of the details after, but the fact that Uishi-san doesn't know is the worst thing, I think. If something happens to me, I'll leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down silently at Rena and Mion. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Rena, Mion.
俺、みんなのこと、本当に友達だと思ってたんだぜ。
But why did it end up like this? I never had any fun in my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores, about if the school I'd hoped to get into was really where I wanted to go or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rivals in studying, in competitions, in personal records, and standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This month was really fun. Making a fuss over lunch, making a fuss over the club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began dripping from my face. Uncontrollable tears. I should have had no obligation to shed tears for them, but they wouldn't stop. Even if they were after my life, even if they were trying to kill me, everything that happened this month, I wouldn't forget it. Yes, Bogan? Could it be those happy days were all a facade as well? Was it all a trap, meticulously orchestrated up until today to ensnare me? Could it have been that I had just arbitrarily assumed that they were my friends? That couldn't have been the case. Both Rena and Mion, they really were my friends. It's crazy. Yeah, they didn't explain it in slightly a weird way, but it's just the first thing he feels, so it's, I get it, yeah. I get what they're trying to say. Those happy days, there was nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to try to kill me. Or their minds were taken over, possessed by the supernatural entity known as Oyashiro-sama. Regardless, both Rena and Mion, they were the best friends. They were the best friends ever. Okay, yeah, they were the best friends ever. Okay, I just understood that incorrectly. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. But they weren't even the kind of people to sell off their friends, no matter what means were employed to force them. and there was no way such a thing as being possessed by Oyashiro-sama could happen in reality, then did the real Rena and Mion come after me? What was I thinking? What a silly, dumb idea. Having beaten down both Rena and Mion, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fakes. There was no real or fake, only the reality that was before me. Rena and Mion were sprawled out at my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit, that I had beaten my friends to death. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Rena and Mion were both dead. It felt like there was a crack in the dam of strange emotions I was holding back. It felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a bluff, had receded, and in that opening, my insanity was leaking out. I killed them. I killed them. Rena and Mion. I killed them. The doorbell rang again. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into a state of composure once again. I didn't have a moment to spare. I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I wouldn't uncover everything after that. The identity of whoever or whatever had pushed me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass, I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. DM experience really shining through. I killed Rena for that very reason. I also killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake, and for the sake of late Rena and Mion, I have to survive. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again as if to urge me on. Behind the single, solitary door, they were there. Keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen, headed towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one? After I put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly, so as not to make a sound. A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run. Get out of here, Keiichi. One after the other, I felt stuff like rationale and intelligence, those things you use when you have time to spare, spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches scratching my arms and forehead. My autonomously pulsing heart also neither felt fatigue nor pain. My entire being just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. It probably had no complaints whatsoever, so of course I wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran. Just recklessly rushing in the direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Turning around, I felt a presence right next to me. That presence was, without a doubt, chasing me like my shadow. If I even took one misstep, I would be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran at full speed. That was the chirping of the Higurashi telling me it was evening. Trying to tell me something. And then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So I ran, towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi's chirps. But the farther I ran, the farther away their chirping became. I couldn't get near them. Why are you all running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry. 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 I felt that only the Higurashi knew. What is English teacher moment, Dianea? Run from the truth of your crimes. That's where it ends? The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave off some crackling electric noise, but it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor where the sun didn't reach? Recalled hearing that tax revenge from tobacco was about 1/10 of the municipality's revenue. We were the most heavily taxed members of this municipality, so I really wish they'd show us a little more respect.
どうしてこれがウーマン切りなんすか？
Yeah, I wasn't expecting such like a tongue twister of words in a bit, like for a while, so I kind of simplified it.
街が狭くなっちゃうっすよ。
One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with the mahjong magazine called Next Turn.
ウーマン切ってもテンパイ崩れませんから、背底にかけるなら両面で受けた方がチャンスあるんじゃないですか？
クマちゃん、川を見てください。
I thought this was Oishi. Who are we right now then?
ウーマンは全員切ってますから安牌なんですよ。終盤で K 点に走った誰かがダマで待ってたら嫌でしょ。
The kid let out another groan, put out his cigarette, and then took out another one.
納得いかないっすね。わざわざ自分で当たり牌減らすなんて。
ちなみに背底で当たり牌出しても論しちゃダメですよ。
え？どうしてっすか？
Just then, I heard a voice coming from down the
おい
hall.
さん、いますか？一般の方から凱旋です。
ありゃ、こりゃどうも。それじゃ、ちょいと失礼。
どうして論しちゃダメなんすか？ああ、待ってくださいよ、大石さん。
Oh, okay, so that's Keiichi informing Uishi of what just happened then. The man sitting in the seat Uishi-san was heading towards... The man sitting in the seat Uishi-san was heading towards waved at the telephone
凱
receiver.
旋です。講習から。
ああ、どうもすいません。お待たせしました。大石です。もしもし。
大石さんですか？もしもし。
前原さんじゃありませんか。どうもどうも、こんにちは。
From the tone of Maebara-kun's voice, I already knew he was in a predicament. This was the first time Maebara-kun had phoned me, and he was calling from a payphone.
落ち着いてください。何がありました？
His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. He did as he wanted now. Took him a bit, but he got there. After checking... I don't know how he managed to do it, considering he was being... Considering he was being chased down by like 6 or 7 people. Wait, 6, 7? Sorry, my bad. Like, but seriously, he was chased by a lot of people. Not funny. I think that was pretty funny. But yeah, he was chased by a bunch of... I don't know how he managed to get to a payphone, have time to call Uishi-san. Where do you even get the coins to get the payphone? How are you bring 6 cents to my comfort place?
何があったんです？落ち着いて前原さん。今そこに近場の警官を行かせます。私もすぐそっちに行きますよ。
多分無理です。
His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people even as he was making this call, was he?
前原さんは今公衆電話からかけてますよね。どこの公衆電話ですか？
There were no other sounds beside Maebara-kun's voice. It had to be a phone booth. I scratched out a note and thrust it at my colleague sitting across from me. Inamizawa, phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines.
落ち着いて前原さん。今どういう状況なんです？
It was best practice to avoid flustering someone panicking, but this was an urgent case. Maebara-kun didn't just get in trouble, get away. and then call me. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now. But yelling at my Barakun right now would just needlessly cause him to be even more frantic. My Barakun wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something more than that. And whatever that was. If I didn't get it from this call, I was certain there would never be another chance. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. There's only one booth in Hinamizawa. A patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes.
かかりすぎです。警らには何人乗ってます？
2人です。
Not enough. If it was as I imagined, there were likely quite a few people surrounding my Barakun. 5 minutes was too long.
南沢の駐在さんには電話しました。
定時巡回の時間です。家人は留守で連絡不能。
そう。クマちゃん、車を回してください。
了解っす。
もしもし、おじさん。
もしもし、大丈夫です。ちゃんと聞こえてますよ。
There was something wrong with my Barakun. That wasn't a normal coughing sound. Vomiting? Or was it blood? Had he already been attacked? Was he injured?
前原さん、今そこに警官が向かってます。2、3分で到着しますからなんとか持ちこたえてください。もしもし、聞こえてますか？前原さん。
I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit. The worst possible situation popped into my
前原
head.
さん、犯人は誰です？何人なんです？
俺も最初は人間が犯人なんだと思いました。
I couldn't tell if that was coughing or
大丈
vomiting.
夫ですか？前原さん。
犯人は人間なんだって。お社様のたたりなんかないんだって。ついさっきまで。だけどやっぱり。
It was an intense bout of coughing, then vomiting.
やっぱりお社様ってのはいるんだと思います。いや、います。今。
前原さん、どうか落ち着いて。
なんかさっきからおかしいと思ってたんです。ずーっとつけてくるんですよ。走っても走っても走っても走っても影みたいにぴったりくっついて。だけども少しずつ俺の背中ににじり寄ってくるんです。
前原さん、そいつは今ひょっとして前原さんの後ろに
すぐ後ろに。
お願いです。前原さん、怖いのはわかります。ですがお願いです。あなたの後ろに誰がいるんです？
振り向けるわけないじゃないですか。振り向いたら俺
怖いのはわかります。でも教えてほしい。ちょっと振り返るだけでいいんです。前原さんの後ろに誰がいるんです？
Right after I said that, I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was a nightmare
前
sound.
原さん、あんたまさか喉をひっかいてたりはしないでしょうね。
There was no answer, but I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang as if something was being hit. My Barakun had probably dropped the receiver. I could hear groaning and vomiting all over on the other end, and a repeating abnormal noise.
もしもしもしもし前原さん、もしもーし。
I knew how far away my voice would sound on the other end, but I couldn't help but shout. At that moment, I heard whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. From the way he was saying it, he was talking to himself? Was he talking to someone
も
there?
しもし前原さん。
Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra he was chanting over and over again. I focused my senses, trying to pick up on what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? Suddenly the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It was because it was a payphone. It was because it cut so abruptly. The last thing he said came so clearly in my mind.
おいさん、車は OK っす。おいさん。
ごめんなさい。
おいさん。
That's what he was repeating over and over. He said, "I'm sorry." I had a gut feeling there was no longer a need to hurry. I could hear the chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the open window. I should have been able to hear them this entire time. I just wasn't paying any attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Were they trying to tell me something? Only the Higurashi knew. That's how I felt. June 1983. In Hinamizawa, a remote village near Shichibone City, there was a murder involving 2 female students. The suspect is Keiichi Maebara, aged. The suspect called over his 2 female classmates, Rena Ryugu Myonsonozaki, to his house and beat them to death with a metal bat. The scene of the crime was the suspect's room on the 2nd floor of his house. The inside of his room was covered with a significant quantity of splattered blood, and there were signs of a struggle with the victims. In addition to the scene of the crime, the entryway, living room, and kitchen all had traces of a struggle. At the entryway, the shoe rack and wall had evidence of being impacted by a strong blunt force. It is believed to have been the same bat as the murder weapon. Having no traces of blood, it is believed the destruction occurred before the murders. There is the possibility that the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. In the living room, the rug had been pulled back and then thrown aside. It's hard to believe that this had a connection to the struggle with the victims, and thus the reason for this remains unknown. In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart and its contents were spread out on the floor. Garbage was strewn about in the surrounding area, and handprints believed to belong to the suspect were discovered. It is believed that the suspect had for some reason taken out the garbage and struck it with his fists. The reason for this remains unknown. In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words, "Was there a needle?" What? The meaning behind this remains unclear? What? When did that happen? Did he put a note on the fridge? Just in case, the garbage was searched, but a needle was not discovered. Though the garage door was functional, it had been left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garage door was found closed. The suspect's fingerprints were discovered on the garage door. The reason behind this remains unknown. The suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, a patrolling officer, Hinamizawa local PD, found the suspect collapsed inside a phone booth. At the time of the discovery, the suspect was unconscious and critical condition. He was rushed to the local hospital for treatment, but did not regain consciousness and died 24 hours later. The results of the autopsy indicated the immediate cause of death to have been hypovolemic shock. It was determined that the suspect had clawed his own throat with his fingernails, and the resulting bleeding caused his death. With a similarity to the death of Tomitake-san the prior week, the police believe there to be a connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wishes of the local authorities, it would be a confidential investigation. Due to the abnormal nature of the death, it was suspected that drugs were involved, but as with Tomitake-san, no traces were discovered. What prompted all this remains inexplicable. As such, the case is being treated as an act committed on impulse. However, with several accounts on the suspect's bizarre behavior leading up to the incident, it is possible that this was premeditated. Separated from his group of friends, isolation, inexplicable behavior. Several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying around a metal bat. The suspect was observed displaying aggressive behavior as well as talking to himself at school. His classmates have actually heard portions of what he was saying. 2 days before the incident, the suspect declared to his parents the possibility of his own death. Due to these circumstances, the police have begun an investigation on the possibility that this crime was not committed on impulse, but instead was planned several days in advance. Afterwards, a note was found in the suspect's room that he had written himself. The note was written on 2 sheets of a B5 college ruled notebook that had been torn in half, and as if trying to conceal it, it was stuck, hidden behind a clock in the wall. The contents are written in the appendix. The police believe it to be strongly related to the incident. The police changed their line of investigation based on the possibility that the suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. However, no further clues were found, casting doubt on the credibility of the note. Was the crime impulsive or premeditated? With the situation unclear and no further developments, the case has been labeled as unresolved. However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. The note was not written on 2 halves of B5 paper from 2 separate sheets, but was originally a single sheet of B5 paper. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And the syringe is gone as well. In order to erase several lines from the middle, someone had torn them out. Judging from the size of the letters, the missing section is estimated to be 2 to 3 lines. It is highly probable that the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from the traces of large quantities of cellophane tape being stuck to the back of the clock, speculation that something other than the note was stuck here has arisen. The person who first discovered the crime was a detective rumored to have a connection with the incident. Kurado Uishi. He underwent voluntary questioning but denies involvement in any damages to the note. The suspect note. I, Keiichi Maebara, am in fear for my life. I do not know why they're after my life. The only thing I do know is that it has to do with Oyashiro-sama's curse. Rena and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This is all in the first sheet. The section below has been ripped out. This is from the second sheet. The section above has been ripped out. I have no idea why it has become like this. If you are reading this, then I am probably already dead. Though you may or may not find my body. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. Keiichi Maebara. So who removed the syringe is the big question. Was it the director? Or was it someone else? A new scenario has been unlocked. All cast review session has become available. To play it, select extra on the title menu and click the all whatever. There's one more thing. Where's the extra at? All cast review session.
Hi, Higurashiの泣く頃に水、鬼隠しをプレイされた皆さん、お疲れ様でした。
Let's go! And now the epilogue, I
い
guess.
かがだったでしょうか。ちょっぴりでも楽しんでもらえたらとっても嬉しいです。ちょっぴりも何も。あんなすごいバッドエンドで終わられたらプンプンでございますことよ。
I like how they do this. Like, they do this in not only like visual novels, but in anime and stuff. They do this as well, where it's like after the you know, they have this like wrap up from all the characters. That's like, oh no, they're not actually. That wasn't the actual story. I think it's
プンプンなの
nice.
です今回の鬼隠しは全体の謎に挑む人たちが最初に通るお話。
The question arcs have these wrap ups. They are pretty neat. Yeah.
だから実質上のプロローグの位置づけなんだって。そのプロローグがこんな凄まじいバッドエンドでございますの？
I personally found them boring, but whatever. I mean, because it's not like connected to the actual story. It's just meant to be a lighthearted end. That's meant to be, you know, the characters actually having a, like, you know, fun moment again after that, like, dark entire thing.
この最悪のバッドエンドを回避するためにプレイヤーさんが物語を模索していくのがこの作品の醍醐味だし。
まだ始まったばかりですよ。僕は次のお話が楽しみなのです。
これからどんな話が待ち受けてるんだろう。レナは聞いてる？
Where do you think it goes from here? Well, I remember you saying that, like, a bit ago when you were first reading it, that you weren't sure if, like, there were multiple, timelines or, like, multiple universes or something. So I'm guessing we're still gonna see from Keiichi's perspective, but, like, something else is gonna be happening. And it's gonna, like, start normal and then get weird again, is what I'm assuming. But I don't really know. It could just be continuing in the future where Mion and Rena could somehow revive, and then we have a new character. And then it's like Keiichi's dead. Next year, some other guy moves in. and then he dies, and then next year another guy moves in and he dies. That could also be another option. I don't know though. But the fact that you said Keiichi is one of your favorite, like, you know, one of your favorite characters means that Keiichi probably appears back again as well. Yeah, it's a reset back to before crazy stuff happened. Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't know where it's gonna go from then. Or an Angel Morts, I just realized as well.
Onikakushi の鬼隠しでは、ひなみ沢で近年起こった連続開始事件が紹介されたでしょ。例えば、みーちゃんのシナリオでは、ひなみ沢の古い歴史なんかが紹介されるんだって。But different things happen, yeah.
I guess see what happened, because I don't know.
すっかりわかんなくなっちゃったけど、
Yeah.
お社様のたたりってどういうものなのか。いや、そもそもお社様って何なのかあまり説明なかったからね。
I mean, it's a...
よくは聞いてないんだけど、でも
Don't they kind of explained it?
なんか嫌な予感。またしてもたたられそうな嫌な物語です。
ケイちゃんも大変だね。今度はどんなたたりにやられるやら。
でもどんなお話になるのか楽しみでございますわね。
いやいやいやいや、遅れて
Okay,
すみませんね。
Uishi's here as well.
やあみんな、
Oh, and Tomitake is back alive! Let's go!
お疲れ様。
I think we could talk about everything once I finish this.
お疲れ。あれ、ケイちゃんは？
ケイチ君はもう次のシナリオの台本読みに行っちゃってるんだよ。主人公だから大変だね。
あれ
Tomitake looks dumb in OG art if I remember. Let me see, how does it look? What is that? Why do all the guys have like massive heads in proportion to the rest of their bodies? Like Oishi-san looks the exact same. Like their head is the same size as their body. They're the same size. That's true. That makes sense.
前原さんのセリフだけで普通のアドベンチャーゲームなら全員分の量
Damn, a personal problem? They really roasted him like that. This feels more right because anime always does that. I think it's just because their bodies, like, if you look at their bodies, like, their heads are huge as well. But her body is tiny. So, like, the proportions, like, look at Uishi. Look at his head in regards to his body. Like, Rika, her head is huge as well. Her body's tiny. Rena, her head's big, but her body's tiny. So, yeah. Keiichi gets art in chapter 5. Okay.
しかしケイチ君やレナちゃんなんか特にだけど大変なお話だったね。
大変も何も大大バッドエンドでございますわ。
True, Satoko.
結局ケイチ君を襲ったのって正体は何なんだろう。
たたりに見せかけておいて実は人間の仕業ってのが僕の推理なんだけどね。
でもケイチは最後に謎の電話をかけてきていました。
Yeah, I still think it's more the curse rather than people. Because, like, clawing your own throat out just doesn't... Because even in that case, right? I think they didn't use a drug to actually get him to do that thing where he claws his own throat out. So, and that's not something people do by themselves. So I think it is the curse.
私もあの電話は変だと思ったね。あの時点でケイちゃんは犯人は人間だと確信してたはずなのにさ。
おかしな電話でしたわよね。なんかお化けに追いかけられてるみたいな。あの電話だけだとやっぱり犯人って人間じゃなくてたたりなのかなって思っちゃうよね。
せっかくですか
Why are we changing music so
意見を出して
much?
みようじゃありませんか。じゃあ園崎さんから。
私 私は絶対に人間説。ひなみ沢の怪しい昔語りかなんかになぞら
Yeah,
え
because I
て
know you don't believe in Oyashiro-sama, right? From what we
人為的事件だと思うね。
gleaned.
確かに、毎年お祭りの日になると起こる連続開始事件なんて怪しいもんね。
No, but there are a lot of too many sus. Like, why does Rena and Neon like act this way? You know, like, and who even is the director? We don't know who the director is.
私はたたりだと思いましたよ。
Dialogue before changing again.
玄関で圭一さんが暴れたシーンとか、ラストの電話のシーンとかを見れば、人間が
I
犯
guess
人か
like
説明がつきませんもの。
I could see that being the case because like that doesn't work if it's like two happy songs, but if it's like ominous song into happy song to like ominous song again to like bait you out, I can see that being the case.
そういえばそうだよね。とても人間の仕業とは思えないシーンだったし。
僕はそれでも人間が犯人だと思うね。あの玄関やラストのシーンは追い詰められた圭一君の被害意識からの妄想じゃないかって思うんだ。
難しい言葉を使われてもわかりませんわ。
It was hype song into hype. Okay, that's a bit strange then.
つまり怖がりの圭一が見た幻だと言ってるのです。じゃああのシーンの正体は圭一さんの後ろにいた謎の気配は何なんですの？
引っ掛けだよ、引っ掛け。
みーちゃん、引っ掛けってどういう意味？
富田家のおじさまが言うようにさ、あのシーンは追い詰められたケイちゃんの被害妄想のシーンなんだよ。
Yeah, it's just gonna be a lot of me being quiet because there's no inner thoughts ever. So
それを濃密に書くことで、プレイヤーにたたりだと思わせようとする演出なんだよ。だから引っ掛けってわけ。
okay, it seems like it's gonna be like slightly less than 2 hours that it takes for everything. So it's pretty good.
それを言われると、でも。
まあそういう可能性もあるってことだよ。
だとすると、犯人は複数で村ぐるみっていう劇中の大石さんの推理は正しいのかな？当の本人の大石さんはどう思いますか？
私ですか？悩みますね。
あれ？僕はてっきり大石さんは人間説だと思ってましたけど。
No, it seems like he's kind of leaning for the
劇中の
curse
私は犯人
explanation.
は人間だと断じてますが、人間が犯人だとするといろいろ不可解なことが
That's what I
多いん
think
で
as
す
well.
よ。
Like you can't really blame it on
例
people.
えばどんな？
I think it's more the curse.
大石刑事さんの推理を聞かせてください。
まず人間が犯人だとすると絶対に動機が必要なんです。こういうことをして誰が得をするのかってことなんです。
つまりおじさま、人間が犯人なら連続開始事件を起
So
こ
many
すことによ
characters
っ
are
て
iconic
誰
laughs
か
in
が得
Higurashi.
をしなくちゃいけないってこと？
I feel like Satoko has the most iconic laugh, though.
そういうことです。ダム開発の関係者が死ぬうちは利害も感じられましたが、近年の犠牲者はそれとも無縁です。第一、前原さんを殺して誰が得をするというんです？
なるほど。そう言われると僕も弱いな。
だってお金とかも取られてはいないんですもの。人間が犯人だと
That's
ありま
exactly
せん
her
わ。
laugh, yeah.
でもそうとばかりは限らないんじゃない？さっきみーちゃんが言ったように何かの昔語りの再現そのものに意味があるんだとしたら。
そういうこと。これは営利殺人じゃないんだよ。きっとこれは村の血塗られた歴史を再現するための何らかの儀式的殺人じ
I
ゃない
mean,
かなっ
like
て思うわ
that's
け。
fair, right? But there are too many things that just don't make sense, I think, about how they just know information. They just
それ
know
を再現
that
すると誰
like
か得をする
many
ので
things
すか？
about Keiichi that they weren't supposed to know, I feel.
得をするんじゃなくて、もっと心理的なもの。僕は何かの復讐じゃないかと思うね。土着的な何か。今回のシナリオでは語られなかった因縁だよ。
なるほど。過去にひどい扱いを受けた暴家の人たちが先祖の恨みを晴らすためにってな感じですか？私はそれにも反対ですね。
じゃあ何？大石さんはまさかたたり派なわけ？
そうですわ、そうですわ。刑事役の大石さんが言うんですもの。たたりに決まってますわ。
The man playing the detective? He's not a detective, he's just playing the detective?
お社様が竜宮さんや園崎さんに乗り移って悪さをしているって考えると一番辻褄が合うんです。
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
残念ながら。
I think hers is the most iconic.
実はレナも大石さんと同じ意見なの。
Wait, I thought you were just saying...
あんなに
Okay.
優しかったレナやミーちゃんが突然おかしくなるなんて、そうじゃなきゃ説明つかないもの。
Why are you talking about yourself in the third person right now?
そこはミオンの私が言うのも変だけど、やっぱり私なんだと思う。
ミーの話の意味が分かりにくいのですよ。説明が欲しいのです。
ああ、ごめん。つまりさ、これってすっごく残酷な話なんじゃないかって思うんだよ。
何ミーちゃん、それってひょっとして。
突き詰めるとそうなるのかな。僕もちょっと疑ってる。
つまり竜宮さんも園崎さんも実は本当にああいう性格で引っ越してきたばかりの前原さんを騙している悪魔なんだと。
I don't think so. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Like, the thing that just doesn't make the most sense to me is, like, they have genuine... Like, all of them have genuine reactions when they see Keiichi avoiding them. Like, I think the most damning one is, Mion, when he's like, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, and, like, you know, all that stuff. And she genuinely just broke down crying. And then she got really pissed off.
こういうわけですか？
そんなの嫌ですわ。
Dude, Satoko, why? Why are you crying?
これは全部たたりの仕業なんですのよ。レナさんもミオさんもみんな優しい、いい人がいいのですの。レナもそうだな。レナやミーちゃんって本当にいい人なんだって思う。きっと劇中で出てきた厳しいシーンは何かに取りつかれてたんだって思うの。
レナもタタリ派か。じゃあタタリ派の皆さんにお聞きしますけどさ、タタリが怒るからにはそれなりの理由があるんでしょ？無差別にたたるとは思えないな。
No, but he was trying to find
そ
out
こんとこ説明できるの？
the backstory of the curse. Like, he was an outsider, and because he found out the information, that's why he was always targeted. Because it's meant to be a hidden thing.
たたりですもの。人間の考えでは想像もつきませんわ。
さとこちゃん、擬人化された神様という存在は結局は人間の生み出したものなんだよ。だからその考え方も人間に理解できるようにできてる。ギリシャ神話の神様を見てごらんよ。泣いたり怒ったり嫉妬したり、とにかく人間的なんだよ。
つまりお社様もまた人間同様に何らかの利害に基づいてたたりをしていると。
変な言い方になっちゃったけど、つまりはそういうこと。
触らぬ神にたたりなしって言いますからね。
I haven't heard this saying until I played this game.
つまりお社様にせよ人間にせよ何か理由があるはずということなのです。でもリカ、その理由がはっきりしないならどうなりますの？つまりはわかんないということなのです。 そうだね。まだプロローグだもんね。明かされていないことがたくさんあるだろうし。
そうだね。現時点ではこれ以上の推理は難しいね。
いんにゃ。白黒つけないと納得できないな。
Okay, well, you have to keep reading then, Mion, I guess.
ミオンさんもこだわりますのね。
限られた状況で最大限に推理する。ちょっぴり部活感覚で面白いでしょ。
Is Mion... Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't seen enough of Satoko and Rika, so I can't really... I don't think they can really fall into one of my favorites, so it has to be between Rena, Mion, and Keiichi, I would think. I don't think there's any character that has... I mean, maybe Oishi, but I still feel he hasn't has enough screen time as well. So I feel like I really only have 3 characters to choose from. And it's definitely not Keiichi, based on how he acted in the first half of the chapter. I think it is difficult between Rena and Mion, but I would have to go Mion.
そう考えれば面白いかも。
じゃあ整理してみましょうか。私はたたり派です。富武さんは人間派でしたよね。
ええ、
I don't know, like, there's just too many things that just don't make
僕
sense to me
は
for it
人
to be
間が犯
people.
人ってことでいきます。
Rena was my favorite in 1. I think it makes sense. Because, I mean, Rena gets the most screen time, you know? Like, you spend the most time with Rena. Mion, you also spend a decent amount of time with, but you also don't spend enough. Like, to really, I get, like, even though, you know, like, I think Rena is the logical choice for who should be the favorite character.
私も人間犯人説。もちろんタタリというファンタジーは嫌いじゃないよ。だけど今回の事件に限ってはタタリの線は薄いね。
人間派が2人出ましたね。リュウグさんはたたり派でしたよね。
Every character, I'm sure every character gets plenty of time to shine over the 8 arcs, but like, I'm guessing it was the easiest to show Rena initially, as she's the one that, like, you know, you kind of spend the most time with initially. Like, she's the one that walks you home and you walk to school with, and it's like the easiest to kind of, like, you know, she goes from this shy, timid person to something else entirely. So I think it's the easiest to, you know, to build up her character during all this.
はい。レナとサトコちゃんはたたり派です。ねえ。ええ、たたり派ですわよ。レナさんやミオンさんのことを悪魔みたいに言う人の方がよっぽどたたりに合うべきですの。
そりゃあまあ私も自分のキャラがそんな悪魔みたいなやつだとは思いたくないけどさ。部活モードの時にはクールでなきゃ。感情論だけで選ぶと大やけどするよ。
まあまあ、どっちを選んだっていいじゃないですか。
あれ、
So 3
リ
people.
カちゃんがまだだね。どっちだと思う？
I forgot she didn't say anything.
僕はお社様が悪い神様だとは思わないですよ。
あれ、面白い意見だね。
たたってばかりの悪い神様なら祀るのは嫌なのです。僕はたたるよりご利益のある神様の方が好きなのですよ。そっか、リカちゃんって巫女さんをやってるんだよね。うん、いい意見。
じゃあ何？リカちゃんはお社様じゃないって思うならやっぱ犯
Well,
人
yeah,
は
I
人
feel like
間
it's
って思う
both. Yeah, it's both after
そ
all.
ういうことにしますのです。
Because I'm sure she doesn't, like, we're using that same logic, I'm sure she doesn't want to believe it's the people who worship Oyashiro-sama, because then the, you know, I guess religion she's in is not, you know, you wouldn't want to be in that religion, let's just say.
ありゃまあ、票がざっくり分かれましたね。たたり派と人間派で半々ですか。
Why is there no voices here? Really? My favorite in 2 is a character you've yet to see yet. Okay. There's a lot more people who believe in the people explanation? That doesn't make sense to. I mean, like, to me, there makes more sense for it to be. I think, yeah, I think it's a real entity. Like, I think there's too much going on for like a lot of like there's less sense or less evidence for there being the people explanation, I believe. Okay, why are we not getting any voices? But the beta version only finished partway through the story. That's right. Even the people who played the beta might change their minds if they got through to the very end.
どうすんのさ。
We're cut from the console release, I believe, since that was added when they... Okay, I see.
これじゃ意見は半々。決着がつかなくて面白くないよね。
裁判官が奇数なのはつまりそういうことだからね。あと一人意見が欲しいな。
あ、ならちょうどいいかな。圭一君本人に聞いてみない？電話で。たたり殺された本人の意見は貴重ですよ。そうと決まれば早速電話ですわ。
Okay, the phone call?
もしもし
Why is he in the
圭一君
detective's office?
レナです。今お仕事お忙しいですか？
ああ、忙しいぞ。シナリオが1本終わって一休みって思ってたら、すぐに次のシナリオだもんな。
ケイちゃんどんな感じ？忙しいって？
うん。拗ねてる。
聞こえてるぞ。
He's moping? How is he moping? He was just saying like, oh yeah, no, I'm busy.
お前ら打ち上げ会でいいよな。俺も出たかった。
Whenever there's a political segment that has anything but sit on the fence, it just so happens to not have a voice actor.
収
That
録
is true.
の残り台詞数で僕たちの誰か一人でも抜いたら圭一も参加できるのですよ。リカ、あの量でそれは不可能ですわ。あ、それでごめんね圭一くん。今回のシナリオでね、圭一くん死んじゃったじゃない？犯人は誰だろうねってそういう話をしてるの。
つまりさ、ケイちゃんを殺したの
Well, does it
は
happen in
人
chapter 8 a
間か
lot?
お社様のたたりかってことで意見が分かれちゃってるのよ。
本当にごめんね。台本読みで忙しいところ。圭一くんはどっちだと思うかな？
そんなの決まってんじゃねえか。
どっち？
どっちなんてもんじゃねえよ。村の怪しげな奴らに狙われて。
Yeah, that's what I was
さらに
thinking.
おやす様とかいう怪し
It's
いのに
both.
働い
Like,
て。
it's like Oyashiro-sama uses people to commit the, like, yes, I think it's both. That's what I've been thinking this entire time.
人間もたたりも全部。これは何かの嫌がらせか。
かわいそうかわいそうです。今度頭をなでなでしてあげますですよ。
Did she pat the phone or something?
結局意見が分かれちゃったね。
私ももう一度考え直してみます。見落としがあるかもしれませんので。
それでは引き続き日暮らしの泣く頃に水をお楽しみくださいね。
Okay. And that is the end of Onikakushi. Demoned away. Pretty cool stuff. Onikakushi party. Enjoy Onikakushi's after party. So have I gotten all the achievements now? Let me look at Steam. Yes, I've gotten all the achievements. Big. Pretty cool. Let's go back to the title screen. Okay. So. Yeah. That is, Higurashi When They Cry Onikakushi. I enjoyed it. That's why I said it vaguely rather than Sigma. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter though. I'm sure, like, it doesn't matter that there are political themes. I think it's not like it gives anything away, I feel. Maybe later on it might if I understand more things, but yeah. I am more of the, like, as he was saying, Keiichi was saying, I think it's both. I think that there's a, you know, that the god does exist, and only because anger becomes angered when necessary. But it also will need appeasement, so people will carry out some of the things themselves. So I agree that it is both. I've thought it was both for a while. But I am leaning more towards that. But for the people to do the thing, like, Oyashiro-sama has to be real. So I'm thinking that, so I'm of the belief that Oyashiro-sama is real. Yeah. I have, like, what other theories do you really want? You know, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that there's nothing really to theorize about, I feel. Let me think. Like, Rena, for example. I think, like, you know, Rena, Mion, yearly deaths are very convincing that they're it's not that it's yearly deaths, it's yearly deaths and one person dies and one person vanishes, right? The way of scratching through the throat, that was also something that it's like, okay, that was a very strange, like, that's not a way people usually kill themselves. Yeah, just wanted your general theory. And at the same time, Keiichi did that at the phone booth when he didn't even get injected with the drug, right? And then there's that entire thing the entire time of him always having the, like, presence that he feels. And I think the biggest thing for me is that, well, one of the big, like, there are many big things that, like, for me give away that it's a god, but how they always know what he's up to. It's like, he went to the grocery with his parents. So do you think the drug is real? Like, did he hallucinate it is what you're asking? Or it's like, or like, is it a tangible drug? I think, yes, it is a real thing. But I also think Oyashiro-sama can just possess, because it's a god, so Oyashiro-sama could just possess you if it wanted to. But yes, I do think the drug is real. Now, okay. There was also the other option I was thinking that Mion, there's also the other option that I was thinking, because Mion the entire time thought it was, I didn't talk about this during the time because it was an intense scene, but Mion was saying that needle in the mochi was a prank. It was just a prank. So there's an entire, like, thing that the syringe could be a prank. And it was filled with nothing but, like, just water or whatever. Like, it wasn't filled with anything crazy. And she was just trying to, you know, pull a prank on Keiichi. Like, her and Rena were. It was probably a prank that was spurred on by Oyashiro-sama, because, you know, they were still possessed at the time. I still remember, like, there's still some possession going on, but at the end of the day, I think it, like, could have been a prank. I don't know that, I'm still not convinced in that particular situation it was a prank, necessarily. But yeah. I think everyone who is from the village, Oyashiro-sama could just possess. So that's why, you know, Keiichi was not, like, they specifically target people, I believe. I guess, no, that's not the case, because then the Shinto priest was targeted as well, no? Or, yeah? So, I'm not sure about that 100% then. But it's why Oyashiro-sama couldn't possess Keiichi. And it had to go out, and because Keiichi was finding information that he shouldn't have found, that's why he had to die. But even still, he wasn't meant to die initially, right? They gave him many chances. The only time that he went up and they're like, okay, it's time for him to die, was when he called out Mion and told her everything. If he still kept everything hidden, I think he probably would have survived. Because it's not making it out known to the world. But at the same time, maybe Oyashiro-sama already knew because they, whoever, like, read his mind or something. Because there's still that thing, right? Of him like, oh, my face gave it away. No, his face is not giving it away. They're literally just reading your mind somehow. They literally just know things happen. And maybe it's that thing with him saying that, oh, there's a presence always following him. So maybe it's not that they're reading his mind, right? It's that... Actually, no, there's that entire thing with Tomitake and that. That was, like, literally reading mind. But there's also the figure following him. So because that figure, like, shadowy figure follows him and then relays the information, and not relays the information, but then possesses Rena and Mion. But it seems like they can't interfere artificially. Or, like... Unless certain criteria is met, it cannot possess people not from the village. Why do you think they were talking about, even though he was dismembered and killed? Well, I actually didn't think that in the first place. The reason why I started to think that was because Keiichi kept calling it out. Even though he was dismembered and killed, right? Like, I would have, like, first of all, Rena bringing up the foreman is very weird, but I would have just left it at that. Keiichi was the one who was like, they brought up the foreman, and like, you know, blah, 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 blah. Didn't think that, that's how I started on that line of thought. But then he was like, oh, you know, they were like 4 or 5 people in front. And then there was the director. And there was always that one part that they never found. So that's why I was just like, oh. Why they were talking about the director, even though he was... Yeah. Why they were talking about it was because Rena brought up the foreman. Why do I think they brought it up in the first place? I am of the belief that... maybe the dead aren't actually dead. Somehow they can maybe not get revived necessarily, but they are somehow placed into the cicadas, the Higurashi, right? That's why Uishi-san heard them as it died, right? Like, as Keiichi died, he heard he picked up on the Higurashi at that point in time. So somehow their, like, souls or whatever get stored somehow, and then I'm not sure if they're brought back to life or if they can be placed into a different body or what exactly, but they're somehow contained. And judging from the fact things get brought back to another timeline, or I guess Keiichi's brought back to life next chapter, there's something to do with that. So Higurashi, when they cry, the cicadas calling out like that, I feel like is a very, very important thing to the story as a whole. But I don't know what it would be. The friends we made along the way were the Higurashi when they cried the whole time. Honestly, true. Say that again? Say that again. That's fantastic. But yeah. The Higurashi definitely have something to do with them. The Higurashi, when they cry, is important. Whoa, absolute cinema. There we go, it took me a bit to get that. Why are you doing this now? I'm gonna be ending stream soon. I'll have to do it at the beginning of next stream. You'll just have to remember. Kitty for your final moments. Alright, sure. There we go. Okay. Well, I think I will be heading out for now, though. I will be... Tomorrow will be... Oh, yes! Oh, I forgot! We do have time to watch your video. I forgot about your video. Yes, thank you for reminding me. We can watch your video. We have time for that. Let's do that. And there. Good. Wow, they really made Mion look... They didn't make Mion look mature in the anime, I feel. Up into no scam. I know. Oh, is that the... Wait, was that the metal bat there that he picked up? Oh yeah, that's... Okay, that's the metal bat from the locker. Oh, is that when he killed them? Well, oh, is that the Knight of the Watanagashi? Wow, they did not do Tomitake-san justice here in the anime. Well, after like... Let's see. Oh wait, I haven't seen that scene. Was that when he threw the mochi? Oh, that's when he dies by the phone. Okay. Poor camera boy. Very cool. Yeah, pretty cool, Ruben. What made... Do you often go out and make these trailers? For stuff? Also, seeing my like model this big after like having it this size the entire time is so strange. Should it be smaller normally? Or is this like a good size normally? Like, there were a couple of chapter 2 moments in that, yeah. Nothing major though, it seems. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems like people, you know, received it well as well. There's some stuff from other arcs, but try to keep it spoiler free as possible. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I like, I guess the only thing that it kind of does give away is like maybe Rena going, like weird mode. But other than that, it's like, you know, it's very spoiler free, I would say. Mostly kept it to arc 1 at most, yeah. But yeah, I will be needing to depart now. So thank you to everyone who stopped by the stream. That was Higurashi Onikakushi. I will be continuing another time, but for now, tomorrow, I will be going to play Omori. Yeah, we'll be starting on Omori and seeing how that goes. And we will see what happens. Is Omori like a linear story, or is it like depending on what you do changes how the game ends, you know? Like, does it what you do change how the game plays, I guess? The story is affected based on your actions. Is that how it is? I just want to know that before I continue, or before I start it up tomorrow. But check out. Okay, yeah. I hope. I mean, I don't know what to expect. I know it's popular, but I don't know anything other than that. So, yeah. Omori has multiple endings. Okay, well, that's not going to be good. I'm definitely going to be getting the worst ending. Okay. But thank you for everyone who stopped by the stream. I appreciate it. You'll probably get the best one, though. We'll see. We'll see. And I'll be back with, or I will be starting Omori tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.